999, 1,000, 1,001, 1,002. Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. So I'm just doing some leg tucks over here, and figured I'd share some information with you guys. Follow me over here. Let's learn a little bit about motor learning and the leg tuck.
We about to turn it on. We about to turn it on.
All right, so instead of me telling you exactly what to do, which exercises you should be performing in order to get this right, we're going to explain some of the why behind this. But before we do that, we have to talk about a few terms in regards to motor learning. Motor learning is the study of how we perform, study, and learn particular voluntary movements, such as the leg tuck. Inside of motor learning, there are terms that need to be defined as well. So every movement is either gross or fine. The leg tuck is a gross movement, which means it involves large muscle groups. A fine movement would be things just involving small digits, such as writing with a pencil. We have discrete, serial, and continuous. A discrete movement is in the leg tuck where there is a defined start and end point. The start point would be when you're hanging from the bar. The end point would be when you complete the movement and return back to the starting position where you're hanging from the bar again. Serial would be something that has a bunch of discrete movements together, like such as turning on a car. It requires you to sit down in the seat, put the keys in the ignition, turn the key, so on and so forth. And then continuous would be something like running, where there is no clear start or end point defined in it. And lastly, we have open versus closed. This is a closed movement, which means that there are not very many environmental factors contributing to this. The ACFT has eliminated a lot of those by telling you that you can't do it during adverse weather conditions, as well as you should make sure that the bars are wiped off prior to, ensuring that you're doing the sprint drag carry on level ground. So an example of an open would be a quarterback throwing a football, where you don't know what the defender may be doing. There's different things occurring in it, but for most exercises, this impacts how we train. So we're looking at a gross, discrete, closed. And how we train for these particular motor learning skills are a lot different than if you had different factors associated with it. So once you can understand that there are these are the three subcategories of these skills, it helps you plan your training appropriately. Okay, so now how do we learn a skill properly? So a lot of individuals, they're going to go into this not knowing what to do properly. So we want to make sure that you first train right, because if you learn the wrong way first, then it takes a lot longer for you to learn the right way later on. So this is called developing a general motor pattern. A general motor pattern is when your body moves in a certain sequence of orders of activation and deactivation of muscle fibers, and we want to try to learn it the right way. And so later on in this video, we're going to try to teach the proper way to do a leg tuck, the most effective way, and that way we can build on top of that to increase our overall repetitions given time. How we're going to do that is through a principle called freezing degrees of freedom, or segmentation. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down a complex movement like the leg tuck into smaller, less complex movements so that your central nervous system can process that better. The more complex the movement, the harder it is for your body to compute the proper way to do it. So when we break things down into smaller movements, it works more efficiently. So learning can be recognized in two levels. You have the initial stage of learning and then the latter stages of learning. Okay, so the initial stage of learning, it's when you're first learning that general motor pattern, or if you're having to relearn a proper general motor pattern and you're fighting against your central nervous system to learn it the proper way. So when we do the freezing degrees of motion or segmentation and breaking things down, it allows it to process more appropriately so that you can transfer, which is your body's ability to take a general motor pattern that has similarities and then use it to transfer to different movements, such as climbing a rope. So if you can do a leg tuck, it doesn't mean that you can climb a rope. But it has a very similar general motor pattern to where if you can do leg tucks, you have a lot higher probability of being able to climb a rope. So those are the two skills we're going to mainly focus on today. Having that vertical pulling power, that ability to bring your legs up at the same time and then pull yourself up into motion to get over an obstacle, that's what's really important. As well as working on your whole total body kinesthetic awareness, which means just being able to keep everything tight through the entire movement. All right, so follow me over here. We're going to talk about the leg tuck a little bit more and then go over a couple of exercises now that we've explained motor learning a little bit. The leg tuck assesses the strength of the soldier's grip, arm, shoulder, and trunk muscles. These muscles assist in the soldier's load carriage and avoidance of injuries to the back. The leg tuck is a movement where the exerciser grasps the bar with a closed grip. The athlete will start the movement in a dead hang, creating a straight line from the hands down to the feet. If the exerciser is too tall, they may flex at the knees and bring the feet back behind their body. It is best to start from an active hang, where the exerciser has full body tension and depresses the shoulder blades down and back. When the exerciser gives the command to start the movement, they would depress their shoulder blades, flex at the elbows, hips, and knees, pulling the knees until there's contact with the elbows. The exerciser then extends at the bottom through the opposite means. This exercises use the chest, shoulders, biceps, abdominals, hip flexors, quadriceps, and back muscles to properly perform. Okay, so we'll go over the order of activation of these muscles for this particular movement. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to have full body tension. So you're going to make sure that your entire axial system below your neck is tense. So your trunks, your flexors, and everything. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to be pulling and depressing with your scapula, activating your lats and your rhomboids to get that active hang. The next thing you're going to be doing is pulling all the way through with your lats up and then flexing with the hips to get those quads up in the air, and then flexing at the knees to with your hamstrings in order to get the knees bent. And then you're going to deactivate the same order all the way down. That's the order of activation and deactivation for this exercise. Okay, so there's tons of different ways that you can do this exercise. We're going to talk about the most effective way of doing it. For most people, your back is going to fatigue a lot faster than your core would. So we're going to try to do this exercise while utilizing a little bit more core, a little bit more physics and the way our body moves with our levers, and a little bit less back to do it. You're going to be able to do more repetitions over time. But the important factor of this is you're going to have full body tension throughout the entire movement, and you're going to have to focus on these specific cues that I'm going to give you. Okay, so the first thing is whenever you mount the bar. Okay, exerciser mounts the bar. He's going to have a flexed hang. He's going to activate his lats and activate his rhomboids and his scapula. And then when he pulls, it's going to be a slight pull. And then he's going to take his head, he's going to look back and drive his knees up. And by looking back, it's going to pull those knees up as high as it possibly can with having just a little bit of back movement. And now with this, you want to keep your core completely tight, because if you don't, then you're going to be swinging all over the place. So the keys are pull slightly, look back, drive your knees through your elbows. Okay, so now that we've learned the proper way to do the leg tuck, the most efficient way to do the leg tuck, we're going to break it down so that you can teach your soldiers or learn yourself through the process called freezing degrees of freedom. So we're going to segment these movements broken down so that your body can learn them properly, so that when you put it all together, it's going to make a whole lot more sense. Now, if you do your leg tucks differently than the way we're showing, that's perfectly fine. But if you can relearn the proper way, you'll max it a lot faster than you would if you do it the way you do it. Okay, so the first movement is the modified straight arm hang. It's a little bit different than the climbing drills. This one you're going to start with an alternated grip. The focus with this one is just to build that pattern of that first initial pull with the lats and scapula before you have any sort of elbow flexion. So go ahead. You see how he pulls with his lats down? He's going to squeeze, hang there, come back down. There's no elbow flexion at all whatsoever. Work that first initial pull. Okay. So he's going to get down. The next one, now you're going to add some elbow flexion to it. So you're going to add some elbow flexion to it, as well as extend your hips out a little bit and look back. That is the second phase. So you're going to work the second phase now. You're going to hop up, a little bit of elbow flexion, look back. There you go. So you're getting that first pull. That's all you need. You can even go up to 90 degrees if you want to. There you go. Okay, so this next exercise is just a hanging knee raise. So you can start with the pronated grip. Thumbs around the bar, and then you're going to pull with your knees up looking back, simulating the leg tuck movement, coming down as slow as you can. The key to this one is not swinging. You're going to go nice, slow, and controlled, up and all the way back down, simulating that third phase, which is the pulling of the knees up. Okay, so this last one is just a basic hollow body hold. What this is going to do is going to help increase total body tension, allow you to have a better understanding of your kinesthetic awareness, and just keep you nice and rigid so that when you come down to the down position, you're not swinging all over the place. You'll be able to do this move a lot more effectively if you can prevent yourself from swinging. So it's going to look like this. You're going to lay back, you're going to lift your feet up, and you're going to lift your upper back off of the ground, and you're going to hang in this position right here. You can hang in here for 20 to 30 seconds or as long as you can. Relax, do it again. So the second skill we're going to talk about that has a very similar general motor pattern is climbing a rope. So it's going to have the same initial motion of activation and deactivation with the movements, except you're going to add some leg muscles into it whenever you can stand up. So if you can get your legs locked in here the proper way, it's going to be a full body exercise. But once you learn the proper general motor pattern for a leg tuck, this can transfer over to climbing a rope. So watch how similar this movement looks to what we just showed you for the leg tuck.